a scion of many worlds. The feast and the conversations had brushed up against a lot more topics, from how crystals are formed to how light works and why some people see different colors, all the way to possible economic advantages and untapped local resources. This kept going for a while, with almost every word out of Jasper's mouth being some golden nugget of either information or advice that would improve the breakaway empire and its people's wealth and living conditions. That, however, was just the bait, the hook. He needed the last little bit for his real plan. And all that silliness finally brings us to our last topic, Jasper says with a bit of grandiosity. The Empress had been both an able and attentive student. The clear case of hero worship had been so very helpful. Also, the fact that he was being completely friendly to the breakaway empire meant that the many individuals surrounding them with those distinctive hidden weapon deposits branded into their flesh had also relaxed. Nearly half the guests that weren't his, and the entirety of the serving staff had those markings. Not to mention a lot of the plants and architecture surrounding them had hidden little caches he'd slowly but subtly figured out. That's the fun thing about his antenna. He doesn't have to turn his head to see things. Examining these closely involves noticing themes and not ignoring them, and there are other bonuses and benefits. He becomes better at spotting them and basically develops a radar for the Defiers Guild's weapon stashes and agents. Last topic, the Empress asks. She had asked question after question after question, and he had answered them all to the best of his ability. The few stumpers she sent his way he used as a thought experiment to try and figure things out and improve her critical thinking skills. Last topic for now. He amends and she smiles. I'd like to talk about setting up a portal here in the capital. It can lead right to the Eridus Valley and would cut down on any and all travel time. But it's a bit of a delicate thing to talk about because an easy way to get around means that a champion acting in bad faith or just having a really bad day could step from one side of the world to the other and cause immense damage. Oh dear, that doesn't sound good. The Empress notes as one of the serving staff's hand twitches ever so to the marking on her opposite wrist. She disguises it by adjusting her sleeve. Which is why if we set one up, it will need to be watched and guarded from both sides. It is a risk, yes, but there are immense benefits to opening up such a thing here in the breakaway empire. Such as, the Empress prompts. She doesn't have anyone whispering in her ears, which is surprising to Jasper. But they likely don't need it. She didn't need training or an ego fluffing like Zavaya had. She needed to have certain natural personality traits encouraged. Less a puppet for dark masters and more of a big happy distraction for the populace. Still a scummy thing to do, but nowhere near so vile a method to control a figurehead. Massive trade to begin with. I'm setting up a network of portals in Eridus Valley to strategic locations the world over. With them, a person could walk around the entire world and visit all the major cities at a casual strolling pace. Not to mention it would let things like trade and learning spread immensely fast and far. One of the things that has long brought down Lacren is that the people are divided, so I intend to bring us all together. We may not always agree with each other, but if we can settle things by talking rather than fighting, we all win a little more. And if everyone who knows more about the lost technology comes together, the Empress begins as she puts things together. She's a bright young thing. We can remake and rebuild much of what has been lost. We have the minds, the resources, and the strength to do it. We just need to get everyone together, and that's where I come in. Eridus Valley is a safe, neutral place for everyone to meet. And with the portals they're helping me set up, there's an easy way to do this. We're so close to remaking what was lost. We just need to take the next few steps. Just the next few steps. The Empress muses before smiling. Hard to do with a long tail. He shrugs at her little joke but smiles. This is the big pitch. With the portal open, he can all but flood this nation with knowledge and take nearly instant control when the Undaunted arrive. Complete mobility over the entire planet and particularly into the cultural and administrative centers all over both continents. Yes, please and thank you. The ability to move troops faster than a dedicated FTL dropship over an entire planet would let him redefine the term blitzkrieg. And that's only if they start to get pissy about the planet being under new ownership. But that's a bombshell that he only plans to drop when he has a fallback position and covering fire. At the very least. So would more people be able to come here to teach? The Empress asks, and he nods. That's one of the main purposes behind it. If you agree to one being set up, it can be set up just about anywhere, and you can have any number of guards or defenses on it. He explains to assure her of her safety, mostly because it won't matter when the rest are here. It feels scummy, but it's needed. There's no way in hell that telling people with kingdoms hundreds of years old that they're going to be losing their sovereignty to some magic spacemen from beyond isn't going to end horribly. It's a sad situation when an alien invasion is a straight-up improvement. "Are you all right?" the Empress asks him, and he flinches. "Sorry, I get lost in thought at times." He apologizes before grabbing a cup of tea. It took only a little reinforcement to drink the hot liquid with his proboscis. "About the Undaunted coming?" she asks him suddenly, and he nearly spits out the drink. He slowly withdraws his proboscis and looks at her oddly. "How? When? Wait, if a Foza can make a sonic scream that can shatter a building or flash boil a person in their own body via sonic vibration, who's to say they can't throw their voices at ranges that give radios envy issues?" "Yes, you're being spoken to by some Fosa agents, aren't you?" he asks with a smile, and she nods. "I like you, but I like being safe around you more. So there's a lot of agents." "Oh, I knew that. I can tell who here is an agent. I just didn't know they could whisper to you from the opposite side of the garden," he says before scanning the area openly. He spots, beyond antenna distance, some figures that have the distinct long ears of the Foza. They spot him spotting them, and he offers them a wave. "A useful trick. Tell me, have I scared them?" "They're worried, and so am I. You're part of an army, right? One that's coming here?" "The first scout, I think, right?" she asks, and Jasper glances over to the two agents in the distance. "That's right." He confirms, and now that he's paying close attention, he can sense the slight waver of axiom, baked into the jewelry of the Empress that allows them to hear from her earrings and project a whisper into her ears. A very clever trick. Jasper isn't sure if he's glad or annoyed that he's running into the competent people now and not earlier. Competent people can be reasoned with. Granted, if everyone's too competent, he can't get anything he wants done without them sticking their fingers in the pie. You also fell from the heavens nearby a grand midwife temple in the wilderness, one where they keep their most precious artifacts. You were inside one at the time, all shining metal and crystal glass with really advanced technology. The Empress continues. "Yes," Jasper states. "Is that where you learned everything? In the crystal chamber?" "Not at all. It's where I was kept asleep," Jasper says before grinning. "Do you want my full story? It's very strange and involves multiple parts." "I would. Where are you from? What's going on? What are your plans?" "I'll go backwards. My plans tie into what I'm doing now. My plans are to prepare this world for when the rest of the Undaunted arrive to help. I have a functional beacon drawing them closer by the minute. It also doubles as a radio to speak with them. I want the world nice and calm and in a cooperative mood for when they show up. That way they can help the most people possible." Jasper explains, and the Empress nods. There's a whisper in her ear, and she frowns a little. "But what's in it for you? If you're honest and you're helping everyone, what do you get out of it?" she asks him, and there are a fair number of people, including his own, listening to his answer. "Everyone needs a purpose. Some people forge kingdoms, some fight, some learn, some teach, some build. You get the idea. Me? I'm trying to find a proper one. Part of me wants the purpose of protecting others. Another part wants me to teach. I don't know where to go, so I'm just helping as best as I can while I sort out my mind, Jasper says. I get to have purpose, at least for a time, before I have to deal with my own absurd personal drama. Drama which includes being the mental clone of one man, the physical clone of another, inheriting the memories and personality of that second man after nearly a month of being just the first man on the mental. The sheer implications that I have effectively come back to life after dying, dealing with the fact that I have a brother in mind who is part of the upcoming rescue effort and a still living physical mother who needs to see if I truly am her little Emmanuel come back to life. There's balancing the instincts and desires of the part of me that is made from Horus and the part of me made from Emmanuel. The sheer question of who and what I am is a big one. You died? The Empress asks, and he nods. My last action as Emmanuel Skitterway was trying to stabilize a damaged ship power core. Then a last-second realization that something had gone horribly, horribly wrong. He says softly, "Actually, no. The last thing I did as Emmanuel Skitterway was speak with Jasper Blue mind to mind, soul to soul. I thought of him as an over-the-top fool with the subtlety of a meteor knocking a planet out of orbit. Also, the last thing I did as Jasper Blue was admit to myself I was incomplete and offer Emmanuel the chance to join. No reservation or hesitation." "You remember talking to yourself in the afterlife?" the Empress asks before there are questions being asked through her connection. Too many for her to pick out easily and so loudly that Jasper can sort of hear them. "Yes." "How?" "I reached out with Axiom to speak to Horus Blue. When I did this, I let my mother know I was moving around. She thought I was just a clone." "Why are you a clone? What is a clone?" "A clone is like a twin created years later. This body of mine was made in case Emmanuel Skitterway was badly hurt. It was to be spare blood, spare organs, spare limbs, spare anything and everything in case he was hurt. But he died instead." "Yes, then I reached out across the stars to speak with Horus, and my other half was alerted and started to merge." The Empress begins looking concerned. "They just pitched you a question to ask that you don't know how to bring up, didn't they?" he asks, and after a moment she nods. "Just ask." "There's nothing on any record to say how that could happen or anything like that ever happening. How did you come back to life and why did no one else do it before?" the Empress asks, and Jasper conjures the image of a large, serpentine creature that seems to be a tail connecting to a massive alligator jaw with fins to the side. These are a void-dwelling species. They live off of Axiom and Axiom alone. There are certain parts of the soul that are needed to hold on to physical flesh. Those parts? They're like candy to these creatures. This is a smaller one that would strip a soul of its connections and make it impossible to pull one back into life. Jasper explains, and the Empress looks at it in terror. "It might actually be a good thing, though. There's no telling what consequences there would be if it was a casual thing to bring the dead back to life. There would be no way of stopping the truly evil and cruel from hurting others." "Okay, so how did it work for you?" the Empress asks. "There's a big one nearby, but it's asleep. It's so big that it's scaring away the little ones," Jasper says, and she blinks. "I don't know how much longer it's going to last, but for now, we can revive the dead, if you have a body for them." "So, to bring back the dead, you need a living body for them and a place where you can pull the soul to where they won't be bothered by those things?" "Yes," Jasper says, and she thinks. "So, would some of the technology that was lost be able to help with this?" "Cloning technology would be needed, yes. After that, it's mostly in the Axiom." "But we'd be able to bring people back?" She pushes and he nods. "Then we need as much as we can get. It might be dangerous to put up the portal, but There's a lot more we can get out of it, she says, and Jasper merely smiles while mentally cheering. She was not only on board, but it was her idea, and that of her handlers. It was as good as done.